What's going on, y'all squad? Your boy Yaku Tees. This is your review for The Real Housewives of Orange County. This is season 16, episode 3. I don't think we're going to be here very long because honestly, I didn't get that much. But y'all know I like to sit here and run my mouth and pontificate and whatnot, so we'll see. So let's get into this review, shall we? So we start off with Shannon and Noella. Shannon is getting fillers in her cheeks. And it made me wonder. Screw it. You know what? I'll be big screen today. It made me wonder. Now I don't know why I'm fading into the background. My green screen is acting stupid. Should I scoot back more? Is it? This is as good as it's gonna get. But she's getting the fellas, and it really made me think because she loves to do the whole holistic thing, and we even got a preview of her going to her same doctor to get this holistic treatment. So I'm not sure. Y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but is there such a thing as holistic fillers? It almost seems like this goes against what she's about. But nevertheless, Noella mentions that her child is autistic. She found out some months ago. Um, she mentions that she has a house in Puerto Rico, and that her husband has a tax debt. And some way somehow it's connected to this property, though she didn't go into detail of how it's connected. But he has roughly $6 million in tax debt, and of that is like two tax lien, which is approximately 6 mil. Says there's trust issues and whatnot, and even mentions that she has said to her husband, "We can just sell the house in Puerto Rico, and that should be enough to absolve your debt." But he doesn't want to do it, and she's trying to figure out what the attachment is to this house in Puerto Rico. We see Jen. Jen's daughter is with her mom. We'll come back to it again. We will get a whole lot from Jen. We have Gina and Travis. She has a charcuterie board, which is cool, but it's like you have a charcuterie board and it's just you and your boyfriend. It's almost like you're trying to show that you have more because she downsized last year and got a smaller home. And that was a point of contention, especially, I guess, between her children and I think Travis's children, I believe. So, but you have this out where it's just like, okay, you're trying to be fancy, and for why? You don't have company. But nevertheless, continuing on, Gina felt that Noella was flirting with her, and she's cool with that. She's happy that her and Travis can joke about something such as that. Um, Gina wants to be married. She doesn't like this whole having a boyfriend, and she has, I think, 3 kids, and it's like, well, you guys are dating and you don't want to rush into a marriage. You really don't. I think they've probably known each other for 2 years, maybe longer, but you still don't want to rush into it. But whatever, I would hate for Gina to sit here and make a decision just because of what, like, her status, because she wants to be married, whatever. And Gina is upset that Shannon pretty much called her untrustworthy. Well, I mean, the way in which she told it, I understand her being upset, but in that sense, you kind of are. I mean, you're an ish starter, and it's obvious. Again, like, I don't know if she's truly untrustworthy, but obviously she did this for the show. Like, let's keep it a buck. But again, regardless of what happened, this is one of those where if Shannon kept her mouth shut, none of this would happen. Yet we would not have the juiciness, and Orange County would have been dry as hell. So just is what it is. We have Heather and Terry. Um, we found out that Nicole had called Heather right before she went to see her husband at his office, and that she felt bad how everything played out. And Heather's just like, you don't have to feel bad. She tells Terry that Shannon had texted her, and it was one of those where in Shannon's mind it was an apology, but it wasn't an apology. And Heather, being Heather, pretty much gave her a whole it was a 1 page letter, if you will, in a text message, pretty much letting her know, just like, in essence, you full of ish. This ain't what it is. I don't even want to give you the opportunity and the time to sit here and come and give me the story and the this and the that you normally give, because obviously there is a trend, there's behavior, same thing. And then she ends it with Heather. um, and yeah, ultimately Heather just isn't here for it. And Shannon was wanting to have a conversation, but again, Heather's just like, no. obviously, even though we see it in the very next episode, they're obviously going to have some type of conversation because they can't film this show. Well, they technically can, but it would be difficult for them to film this show without these two people. Where I believe Heather has, well, I don't know. They have roughly the same amount of longevity on this particular show, so you can't really have it to where they're not really working it out. And then there's obviously going to be at least one girl's trip, so you kind of at least need to get them to a state to where they can just coexist. So you got Gina and Noella. They're doing cryo. Gina brings up what she saw on the blog in reference to Noella's husband's tax debt, which right there that made me feel away because it's like, yeah, you saw this, in the blogs and whatnot. You have her number. Y'all could have talked about this off camera. Again, we're doing all of this for the show. But this further leans into you just being messy for the sake of being messy because why did you have to bring this up? Because I'm pretty sure if anybody brought anything up about her, I believe her ex-husband's name is Matt, or about Travis, she could probably flip her lid. Let's just keep it a buck. Noella just wants, this whole thing to be over with, which is why she suggested let's sell the house in Puerto Rico. And then at one point after the cryo stuff, Noella mentions how she fell asleep in their dungeon and she wants to continue to push this. So I don't. So it's just like, okay, you're trying to. When you have to go out of your way to let somebody know that you're a freak and all the other stuff, it really questions like, are you really a freak? Like, do you? It's almost like people with money, where when you have to sit here and consistently show someone that you have money, you probably don't. But when people can just look at the life that you live, or probably where you live, that should be the indicator that you have money, not what you're trying to put out, but just people seeing your everyday life. Just saying. So you have Emily, with her family. They're Shane's doing some barbecuing. I want to say her children are intelligent, because they were talking about the solar system. She asked how many planets are there. I believe it was Annabelle that said, well, it was either her or their son. But one of them says, well, there's 8 planets. There used to be 9, but there's only 8. And I believe that Emily was like, so what? Is it Uranus trying to make a joke, but then you trying to make a joke? You sound very foolish, but whatever. Shane is going to be sworn in very soon. And then there's also baptism talk because their child Annabelle is going to be baptized. The only thing is we didn't go that far into it, which I can understand because Annabelle is like, what if I decide in 10 years I don't want to be baptized anymore? He's like, we'll discuss it in 10 years. And more or less just saying we'll table it until you're older to where we can truly have this conversation. But based off of just the solar system talk and whatnot and how the children were talking, I do think that there is a way they could have had that conversation, but it just is what it is. And I'm not telling nobody how to parent, especially when it comes to religion and spirituality. Noella, Nicole, and Shannon all meet up. Noella is not existent in this conversation. I say that because when Shannon got there, she just wanted to address Nicole. And that was it. Had nothing to do with Noella. You're just here to be here to shoot a scene. And Nicole didn't like them necessarily having talks about her medical history. That was her thing, where it's just like, it doesn't, like, whatever happened. But the fact that my medical history became a topic of conversation was an issue for her. Shannon takes responsibility by saying, I was wrong for talking about it, but, and it's like, I'm gonna take this little bit of responsibility, but I'm gonna push everything out because I shouldn't have trusted these people. No, you shouldn't have opened your mouth. It has nothing to do with you trusting someone. It's just you opened up about something you shouldn't have. And if it was really that big of an issue, and I got it, you're having this conversation with friends, but you're also shooting a reality show. So if you really had this issue, you could have texted Heather, or you could have talked with production to where y'all could have had a scene and y'all could have sat down and had this conversation if you really cared. Obviously, you didn't. Let's see. So we have Jen and Ryan and Jen's mom. They all are together at the house. And Jen just tells us, brings up her father and mentions how he died the day before she was supposed to take her medical school test, and how he was the glue to their family. And when he passed, it's just like everything dissolved. And yeah, pretty much just that on that. And when her father went on, she just had to learn how to be independent. And there were a lot of lessons that she had to learn by herself because I guess some of those lessons her mother didn't know in terms of finances and whatnot. So she had to just learn things on her own. We have Shannon. Noella calls her and tells her that she has been served with divorce papers and that the credit cards have been shut off. All that I'm going to say with this is, when we get some of these women on these Real Housewives shows, I do get pause because it seems like some of them come on with the intent of, I know I'm about to get divorced, so at least let me try to profit off of this in some way, shape, form, or fashion. But especially if you watch reality TV shows, especially these housewife shows, like there's three ways you can learn a lesson. The first one is one of those where it's just like somebody tell you don't do it, you just don't do it. Boom, lesson learned. Not really, but lesson learned. The other one is you learn from somebody else's experience, which is probably one of the best ways. Well, it's not the best way, but it's one of the best ways to learn because it's like, I done seen you go through this. I'm gonna make a mental note so I don't have to go through it. Which is watching a lot of these reality TV shows. There's a lot of life lessons that you can learn, but some people just don't, which is kind of silly to me because we've seen this happen time and time again. I've even said, and I'm gonna continue to say this, and it's male or female because you could be a kept man or a kept woman, but if you are in a relationship where you don't hold the purse strings and somebody's either giving you an allowance or the charge card, you need to be purchasing stuff that will appreciate in value and have that off to the side. Or if you're getting an allowance, at least, because she ain't got no bank in the checking account either, but if you're being handed physical money, open up one of those accounts and periodically put money into that account. Do something because you never know when the rug can be swept up under you. Because then at that point, it's just, I don't know what to do, and it's like, well, we live in an age where information is out there, and I'm not, and here's the thing, I am very empathetic. It's hard for me to be sympathetic at times, especially with something such as this, and I feel very bad mostly for her child because you're being served and whatnot, and your child has just recently been diagnosed with autism. So yes, that is a very huge thing, especially when he didn't sat here and turned off all the credit cards. Ooh, no, you don't. Lies you tell. You ain't finna get me in trouble. Bro. Why is it that when I'm doing these videos, that my stuff just want to turn on? I ain't trying to get in trouble with Bravo. Hell no. Um. Okay, so enough of that. So you have Gina and Shannon. Gina is hoping that in a she's happy that she's in a place to where she can finally help someone because last season she wasn't. So it was people helping her, so she's happy she can be in that place. And then she shares to Shannon that Noella called her. I didn't like that because she's obviously calling you, and yes, she's friends with the both of you, but the fact that you're really quick and willing to offer up some news on her. Now, I'll give it a chance. You're like, yeah, she called me too. And somewhat trying to dead it, but it was just, ooh, I didn't like that. I really didn't. And that really makes Gina come off as being real messy. They end up inviting Noella, to come hang out with them. I didn't necessarily like that because I felt like they should have discussed their issues first before inviting someone to a potentially toxic environment. Shannon is trying to defend herself, but Gina isn't having it. Gina brings up her infidelity, which is why she told her. And she was like, okay, well, somebody cheated on me too. And it seems like, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Shannon, but every time Shannon is trying to, make way and present a point, Gina is quick to shut it down. And Gina just doesn't, care about who's right in a situation, which lets you know that now, even though Shannon is taking partial accountability, Gina ain't trying to take no accountability at all. Shannon says to her, she's going out of her way to be nice to her, and Gina pounces saying, you know, I don't have to go out of my way to be nice. I just be nice. And this is one of those where every time Shannon is trying to make a point, it's like Gina's just trying to hurry up and cut her off at the knees and trying to hurry up and dead this without necessarily taking the steps to go all the way through A to Z. It's like we got to A, B, and she's the one to cut it. Now we get X, Y, Z, and let's just end this. We don't have to deal with none of the middle stuff. Gina, yeah, I already said Gina wants to date the issue. Noella joins. She's upset because she has no finances, especially when it comes to her child. And that is very, very rough for her. And that's it. That's all that I have. Well, I gave y'all a decent amount. So, yeah, that's it for episode number 3. So, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share. I will see you guys back for episode number 4. Peace out.